Hello and welcome to the first webinar of the year. We are so lucky to have a special guest with us. My name is Georgia Hoops and we have Brian Anderson here. Welcome, Brian.
Thanks, Georgia.
You're welcome. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. 2020 is going to be a great year for Mozenda.
It is going to be a great year. We are going to be discussing today Cloud and Clear, more specifically our storage management. This came up because we've been asked a lot of questions about one, what is my storage made of? What is peak storage? How is it calculated? As well as optimization for our storage management. So we were really looking forward to this webinar specifically today. And as well as in February 2020, we are going to be doing, I don't know what the right word would be, but it's going to be $10 per gigabyte will be charged for your monthly peak storage that's over your account limit. This is going to mean that anything that is over or accumulated the month before will be charged or applied to the following month's invoice. So this will begin February 1st, 2020 for fees that were incurred in January 2020. So what is our storage made out of? We have our collections. Collection is where the data is stored. It can be uploaded as well as found from the agent when it's harvesting data. Each line or row of the data set is referred to as an item.
Yeah, so collections are kind of the basis of Mozenda, I would say. Collections are where your textual data is stored. So that's when you go and scrape something, collect something, your text is there, and then your files, which we'll talk about later, and your images are stored in a different location with a reference from the textual side to that location. And so collections are simply your textual data that is stored within Mozenda.
I love that. I'm going to just pull up, see here we're in the web console and we are selecting collections. That's just noted up here on the top. And I've selected a specific collection of data. And if I click on that inside the web console, you'll see I can see the data that I've harvested. I can see the columns, the data, as well as the link to the image that I'm downloading and the data that I harvested. If I want to clear this information, underneath collections, I'll click this button that says more before I actually click into my data. By checking this box, selecting more, I'll be able to, I love the phrasing, I'll be able to obliterate the following from the collection. But knowing what these mean is going to be really helpful because we don't want to delete anything that we may need in the future. We have our items, job history, images, files, and packages. We're going to go through each one of these so that you know what to obliterate or clear from your history and just can make more informed decisions about your data. Items are the total rows within a collection. Like Brian mentioned, we have each one of these lines. So an item would be each one of these rows here. Our job history are the records of a job ran, and this will show us the whole history of it. As far as when your jobs are run, if it's paused, if it's hits an error state, we like to keep a record for your own knowledge. So if you ever want to see your own job history, you can go select from your agent this job drop down, and you can see the history of when the agent was ran, if it was completed from there. Our images and files are our long-term storage. This is where any files that you download, any images that are harvested during the process are going to be stored. If you delete these, it will be permanently deleted and it won't be able to be exported or repackaged until you run your agent one more time.
Yeah, so those files get stored like I said, in a different location. They're not stored within the database solution exactly. They're stored on a SAN. And so with the reference, you then get, once those get deleted, they are purged from our system to keep everything clean and to try and speed up things.
Yeah, I like that. And it also, in contrast, we have file packages. File packages are the short-term compressed storage of all of these files. So when you are publishing or exporting, it will assemble all of your files and images and for your use, whether you're publishing that to your Google Drive and FTP. If you're exporting it, you can choose to package those files specifically at a certain time and export those directly to your computer. If you clear this, that's okay because it can be brought back by repackaging the files that are in the collection.
Yeah, there's certain configurations that happen on a file package that perhaps might not be able to brought back, but the actual data behind it, the images or files, would be able to be brought back. And so when you repackage something, you have the ability to name your images and files accordingly, and all of those things. So those things would get lost. However, the data behind it would not be lost. And so like Georgia was saying, in a publish, when you do a publish, it will automatically do a file package as part of the publish job and then automatically clean those up after the publish handler has completed. So there's some really cool things there, and so you don't have to incur that cost as part of your data storage over time.
So just so you guys can see a visual of this, if I wanted to export this directly, I could go to File, Export, and you could see here from Images and Files, I can see where I can package my files and then download those specifically. If I needed to repackage those, I could package them again. It says it has been created and submitted. Okay. And then when I go to download, that will be included. This has an asterisk by it because item history and bookmarks is relative to when you are when you have store item history enabled. When you have store item history, it's storing all of the occurrences or the history of all of those items and creating bookmarks for that data as well.
Yeah. So storing item history has been around in Mozenda for a while, and bookmarks came about because running multiple jobs at any given time, especially with sequences, and our services team has been running that for a long time. But bookmarks allow you to take multiple jobs and group them into the same quote unquote run. And so your data comparison and or your bookmarking of items will then match up across your runs. So you can run multiple jobs. So clearing item history and bookmarks removes the link in the database of all of those items to their bookmarks and jobs and clears the full history of the collection.
So if I look at my jobs tab on my specific agent, you can see this looks more like a bookmark because it's bookmarking when that was harvested and that whole process there. If I split this into multiple jobs where maybe I was running this in 2 concurrent jobs, there would be more lines to show
Correct.
in that bookmark.
Yeah, like you see at the bottom one, you have 2 jobs that were included in that bookmark.
So we have this first one and then the second one, and it's divided by this small blue line.
Correct. And yet again, you will only see this if you are running, if you have configured your agent to have store item history on, and really you should have unique fields on to make it worth your while. So.
And in this agent, we have both of those. Let's keep going through. So we talked through what makes up our storage. We have items, which are the lines, our job history, which is the history of our instances of running the job, whether it's paused or hits an error state. We have our images and files, which is permanent. So if we delete this, it's our long-term storage and it will clear all of that until we rerun the agent. We also have our file packages, which is our short term, which can be repackaged if we still have our images and files. If it's naming conventions, make sure that you put those in place before you repackage your files, because that is something that's not stored if file packages are removed. And item history and bookmarks is relative to when you have store item history on. We're going to go more into how do you view your storage and the statistics, and how to get a more granular feel for what files and images you're looking at. If you have questions along the way, please feel free to chat in. We love your questions, specifically when it resonates to you and we can help you with your use case. We have web storage information, storage information, where you can find the storage, how it's calculated, and how to preview the statistics as you're looking at them. The easiest way, which I love this, I was finding such a hard way to go through this, and Brian and I were talking, he's like, Georgia, you just click on the storage icon right here. And this gives you an idea of what your peak storage is without having to go anywhere specific or dive in deeper into your account settings. This is located in the top right-hand corner. Just click on that and it will bring you to the storage tab here. A longer way to get there is just clicking on your account settings, then selecting storage from your drop-down. We have a view of, right now it's on a day view, and it can show me my storage, the size, the gigabytes. But what is that storage? How is it calculated, and how does that affect me so I can manage my data more effectively? Brian, can you talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, absolutely. So your storage is slotted into many different kind of locations and types. And we've talked about a few of those, which is going to be database, which are mostly your collections. So your line history, your text history, right? You have your file packages, you have your files and images, and then you also have your agent definitions, which are just the XML of your agent as they're stored as well. And so all of those get combined together into your storage for your account at any given time.
Yeah, I really like that. The way that it's calculated, the reason that it's called peak storage is because as this is checked each day, it takes the maximum storage that is used on your account and then accumulates that as your peak storage for the month.
For the billing period, yes.
Yeah.
So every day, and you can see as we can go back to here. Oh, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's come here and let's come to our storage. You'll see here that we have a last updated. You'll get a date, time that is updated.
Yeah.
When it has last run to calculate your storage, it will then populate a row in your data, which if you want to go to your day, and any given day, you'll get your storage that was calculated for that day. And then up here, you will see the peak storage of your billing period.
Okay, perfect. So if I want to see day or week, then I'll go specifically to my storage tab and account settings, select the time frame that I'd like, and I can view that more on a granular level. If I want to see what my storage is, my peak storage is for that billing period, that's located up in the top right-hand corner.
Correct. Yeah, and it will also tell you the max day here.
Okay.
Which means, hey, that is the day that you had the most storage within that period of time, within that time span.
Oh, I love that. Something that's I've benefited from is being able to download the insights so I can see which agents are using the most storage.
Yeah.
And how much, and if there's certain files that are happening there. Because if I don't know Or if I do know that one agent needs more storage, then I can plan ahead for that, or I can work with Mozenda to get larger storage and my storage increased.
Correct.
So we talked about the filter here where you can choose the time frame, whether it's day, week, or month. You can download these by selecting the download in the top left-hand corner. This downloads the list of items here.
Correct.
When I want to download the insights for a specific day, this is selecting the max day, then we'll select this download button. You can choose the format that this comes in, whether it's CSV, XML, you have the power to choose. Any other thing that you wanted to add there as far as it relates to downloading and viewing your storage here?
Yeah, so this is in replacement for some of our older stuff. This is really nice because it gives you more granularity into exactly what you're seeing. You have it split up into your different types,
And
like I mentioned.
All my agents listed right there.
Yeah, you'll see all of your collections and agents listed there, and get your total size. Your database, like we talked about, is really the items, the textual data that is stored. Your agent definitions is your XML agents. Your files are the file images and files that are downloaded and stored to our SAN. And then you have your packages, which are the things that get
like the temporary ones.
The temp ones, yeah, they get packaged up so that you can go send them off and get them, or that you can either publish them or download them, export them.
I love that. Perfect. Thank you for adding to that. When we know now what they are, where to find more information, but how to truly manage and optimize the storage is what it comes down to. And we want to help you make those decisions for yourself. And for each person, it's going to be a little bit different. To optimize the storage that you have, the first thing I want to mention is publishing and exporting. Depending on your use case, exporting it directly to your computer is going to be really helpful because you can just do it right then and there. But for me, publishing and having it automatically sent just streamlines the process. And there's another thing that's really beneficial in publishing your information, especially when you have files.
Yeah, absolutely. When you have publishing enabled, like we mentioned before, and you've got that, you don't have to, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but you don't have to create file packages. The publishing will automatically handle that for you and clean that up for you. So you don't have to worry about that. So if you're never going to export something to your build or to your computer, then you know what, you probably shouldn't even have a file packaging because it's not worth incurring that cost.
Yeah.
And as part of that, we have given some ways to be able to handle that better, which we'll show a little bit later. So the most important thing I think George is trying to say is we don't want you to lose your data.
Yeah, use your data. That's why you're harvesting it. You need to make decisions with it.
Correct. And we know that getting images and files are important to y'all's business and what you're trying to accomplish, and they're important to us, and so we want to make sure that you guys get them off there and into your pipeline. The other thing we want to do is we want to make sure that you're being cost effective with Mozenda, and so we give you the ability to do manual clearing, right? We have API calls that allow you to do clearing of data, either from a collection or from a view even, which is kind of cool. Sequence has the ability to clear a collection and also to clear a view.
And items, right?
And items, yeah, you clearing items and all of these different things.
So when we walk through the steps of how to manually clear, one thing I wanted to know is for the API, this is available for our professional as well as our enterprise customers. So this is available to those, to a wide variety of our
Yeah, and it looks like
team.
we've got some on-prem on as well today, some on-premise customers, and API will be available to them as well.
Oh, fantastic. We're going to pull up some of the documentation here. This is in our Help Center. If you search for API, it will show you how to get your web access key. And I'm going to have Brian speak to this a little bit more. He's done a lot more API calls than I have, and I love the way he describes it.
Okay. Yeah, you have a collection.clear, which allows you to pass in if you want the collection ID. There's also a lot of documentation
So
on
let's
how to
pause
get
right
your
there.
web service key.
So a collection ID, when you are looking at the collections, they'll have this ID to the left of here. This is how you'll be able to specify in your API call what you need to clear. So if you're looking for your collection ID, it's in here. If you click on your, you can see another.
That's the agent ID
the
right
agent
there.
ID right
Yeah.
here.
So there's, each agent has a agent ID and it has a collection ID. So that's a little bit,
Just become
it's a little bit
familiar with it.
confusing, but you'll get familiar with it. The easiest way to see how those, and they're not one-to-one, they don't map up that way. And so if you look here, and then let's just add, if you go and edit your all items, you have the ability to put collection ID as a field. And so if you wanted to look at it from there, you have your collection IDs.
So now I can see both my item ID
There's
and my
your agent
collection
ID and you have your collection ID.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, let's jump back in. Thanks for letting me pause there.
So an API call, like I was saying, is made up of your web service key, your system, and your call, and then your different, this is your collection ID, and collection ID, your name, your operation, and then you can pass in optional things like delete file packages or retain collection history. So there's a bunch of different little switches that you have to be able to clear these things. Okay. And same with the view.delete items. This one's kind of special because you can write a view and say, I want to delete only the items that are found within this view. That's a pretty cool little feature that we've had for a while. But
one of the use cases that you described to me was when it took a lot of work and practice doing it, but it was by using like past irrelevant items. So if they're past a certain date, they used a date view.
Yeah, so if it got collected more than a month ago, I don't care about it anymore if I'm running this every day, but I want to still have my history on. And so what I'll do is I'll run a job that goes and deletes the items that are older than 30 days. So your support representatives and or your CSMs are more than happy to train on how to do that.
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic for that use case. Thank you so much. As we jump in, the API is available to most of our customers, and then we have our sequences, which is available for our enterprise licenses. Excuse me. This is where you can set up a set of steps to initiate for you. This can be running an agent, this could be publishing information, as well as clearing a collection. I'm just going to select a random one here. And then I would again select exactly what I want to have cleared. Maybe I just want the items, job history, or maybe I just want the images and file packages. Whatever it may be. I can also add a step to delete view items. Do you want to tell a little bit more about that one?
Yeah, so like I was saying, this is kind of the same as the delete or the view.delete items. And so you choose a collection, you choose a view, you would probably have a delete view here. And then when you run that, it will execute that and it will delete the items that are found within that view.
Fantastic. Okay, last but not least, we talked about file packages and how if you are publishing them to another source, why package them? Just save the space and have them be sent in your publishing process and not packaged inside our web console or your web console. This can be set at a global level by going into your account settings.
Yeah, so when you create a new agent, these harvesting settings defaults right here, and you can change that. These are set for all new agents that get added to your account.
So any agents moving forward, if I select this checkbox, will not create image and file packages.
Yes, if they are collecting images and or file packages or files with the agent, it will not create file packages as a part of the finishing of the job.
Perfect. So let's go to my agent that is packaging files. So this one is capturing the Utah Jazz players, where it's capturing their image as well. If I wanted to check this on an agent level, again, I created this before I enabled my global setting. I'd still go into my settings for harvesting, select behavior, and make sure that it didn't create these images and file packages. Now that I saved that, I'm going to run it one more time. If I was to export this and my packages weren't, or my files weren't packaged, I could go into my images and files and package the files to export it directly to my computer. If I was publishing this, then I wouldn't need to worry about packaging them because they'd be packaged in the processing of publishing.
Correct. You can also do this here globally. Well, now I've got one running.
I'm running my agent, yeah.
Let's see. So these don't have packages, but it would be right here if it existed, and you could uncheck it from there.
Perfect. We had a question come in as far as invoicing, how they'll see if they do go over their storage, where that comes in. If you want to know information about your actual billing as when it relates to any overages with storage, that can be found in your account settings. For your next invoice, just go to your account settings, and then from the drop-down, select billing, and then you'll be able to see more information about your subscription as well as your the storage that is available for you. We have a question as well from our on-premise customers. On-premise is where they have
the system installed on their hardware or on the cloud that they manage. So yeah, we love our on-premise. And how does this impact on-premise accounts? It really doesn't, other than if you're going to be paying for the storage, even on your side, you would probably want to be careful because storage can be expensive. Yeah. So cleaning off stuff will help.
Yeah.
And getting it into the hands of the consumers is also the goal of what we're trying to do here.
So no matter what your license is, being mindful of the storage that you are using will help you manage your license and the cost that's associated with that. Whether you're created your own system on your own location, whether you're using a license with Mozenda, it will just help you manage that a little bit better.
Correct, yeah.
I want to thank everybody for attending our webinar this month. We're going to have another event next Thursday as well. We're going to talk about administrative credits and users and how to apply those, and then later this month have another webinar on XPath. Please let us know what other questions you have or if there's a topic that is meaningful to you. And I appreciate all of you guys for being in attendance. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.